Danny Wright never thought his Aunt Carol would leave him anything. She had been the strange one in the family. She left Earth 30 years ago and never came back. She sent postcards from faraway planets that nobody could even pronounce. Most of the family had forgotten about her. Then the message came. Danny was eating breakfast in his small apartment when his datapad buzzed. He almost deleted it, thinking it was junk mail, but something made him open it. It was from a lawyer on Port Stevens. Aunt Carol had died. She was 97 years old. She had left everything to Danny. Danny felt sad even though he barely knew her. He remembered meeting her once when he was 7. She had bright eyes and told him stories about flying through asteroid fields and meeting alien traders. His parents had called her crazy, but Danny had loved those stories. The lawyer said Aunt Carol's estate was waiting for him at Port Stevens. Danny took time off from his boring job at the shipping company and caught a transport to the space station. He wondered what she had left him. Maybe some money. Maybe some alien souvenirs. He did not expect a spaceship. Port Stevens was a busy place. Ships came and went constantly. Traders, miners, and travelers filled the docking bays. Danny found the dock supervisor, a tired-looking man named Kyle Brennan. "You here for the right ship?" Kyle asked, trying not to smile. "Yes, where is it?" Kyle pointed to a far corner of the bay. "Bay 14. Good luck with that one." Danny walked through the busy station until he reached Bay 14. What he saw made his heart sink. The ship looked terrible. It was covered in burn marks and dents. One of the metal legs holding it up was wrapped in tape. The name on the side read Wandering Star, but half the letters were faded. "This is it?" Danny said to nobody. The ship looked like it should be in a junkyard, not a docking bay. Danny understood now why nobody else in the family wanted it. It would probably cost more to fix than it was worth. But he was here. He might as well look inside. Danny climbed the ramp to the door. The airlock made awful grinding noises as it opened. He stepped into the dark cargo hold. The air smelled old and metallic with a hint of something sweet. A few boxes sat in one corner. That was all. He made his way through the ship. It was bigger inside than he expected. There was a small kitchen, a bedroom, and a bathroom. Everything was old but clean. Aunt Carol had lived here. Pictures hung on the walls. Books filled the shelves. It felt like a home, not just a ship. Danny reached the cockpit. The pilot chair looked comfortable despite its age. The controls were old-fashioned but seemed to work. A piece of paper was taped to the main screen. Danny pulled it off and read, "Danny, if you are reading this, I am gone. You probably think this ship is worthless. She does not look like much, but she is special. Do not sell her. Take care of Miko. She has been my friend for a long time. The ship knows where to go. Trust her. Love, Aunt Carol. Miko," Danny said out loud. Something chirped behind him. Danny turned around fast. His eyes went wide. A creature sat on the floor looking up at him. It was about the size of a house cat. Its fur changed colors from blue to purple as it moved. It had 6 legs and big glowing eyes. 2 small antennas stuck up from its head. Its tail ended in something that looked like glitter. "Oh," Danny said. "You must be Miko," the creature chirped again. It walked closer on its 6 legs and sniffed his boot. Then it sat back on 4 legs, held up the front 2, and made the saddest sound Danny had ever heard. Danny knelt down.
"Hey there."
"It's okay." Miko pushed her head against his hand. She started making a sound like purring, but it had musical notes in it. Danny scratched behind one of her antennas. She leaned into his hand, clearly enjoying it. "I guess we're stuck together now," Danny said. "I have no idea what to do with a spaceship, though." Miko chirped and walked to the wall. She stood on her back legs and pressed one paw against a panel. The panel lit up. Suddenly, the whole cockpit came alive. Lights turned on. The engine started humming. A map appeared on the main screen. Danny stared. "Did you just turn on the ship?" Miko looked back at him. If a 6-legged alien cat could look smug, she did. Danny spent the next few hours exploring. The ship was in better shape than it looked. The cargo hold was empty but clean. The kitchen had food supplies and even coffee. The bedroom had a comfortable bed, and everywhere he went, Miko followed. She showed him where everything was. She pointed to her food bowl, which held strange glowing crystals. She showed him how to use the coffee maker. She even found a loose panel in the bedroom that hid a small safe. Inside the safe was a data chip and a small projector. Danny put the chip in the projector. A hologram of Aunt Carol appeared. She looked old with silver hair, but her eyes still sparkled. Hello, Danny, the recording said. If you found this, you met Miko. She is special. She is not from Earth. She comes from a planet called Viridian 7. Her species is called the Luminae. They can sense safe paths through space. They can feel danger before it happens. They bond with one person for life. 30 years ago, Miko chose me. The hologram showed Aunt Carol petting a younger Miko. Nobody else wanted this ship because Miko would not let them have it. She was waiting for you, Danny. The Luminae are very picky about who they bond with. She sensed something special in you. The ship is yours now, but more important, Miko has chosen you. Aunt Carol's face became serious. There is something else. This ship is not just for carrying cargo. She is a key. I programmed coordinates into the navigation system. Miko will help you get there. What you find will change everything. Not just for you, but for all humans. Trust Miko, Danny. Trust the ship. And trust yourself. The recording ended. Danny sat quietly, thinking about what he had just heard. Miko jumped onto his lap. She curled into a ball and purred. Her warmth felt nice. Danny petted her soft fur without thinking. A key, he whispered. A key to what? Miko chirped softly. One of her antennas glowed and pointed at the navigation screen. Danny carried her over and looked. A route had been plotted. The destination was labeled The Whisper. He had never heard of it. Danny looked at the map for a long time. He could sell the ship, go back to his boring job, forget about all this, or he could do something different, something his Aunt Carol had wanted him to do. All right, Danny said, making his choice. Let's go on an adventure. Miko's purring got louder. She seemed happy with his decision. Danny sat in the pilot chair. Miko stayed in his lap, comfortable and warm. He pressed the buttons to start the launch sequence. The ship's engines got louder. The docking clamps let go. Together, they lifted off into space. Behind them, Kyle Brennan watched on his security screen. He shook his head. Good luck, kid. You will need it. The wandering star flew away from Port Stevens. Danny looked at the star stretching out in front of him. He had no idea what he would find. But for the first time in years, he felt excited about the future. Miko chirped happily from his lap. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. The ship carried them into the darkness between stars. Somewhere out there, a mystery waited, something that would change Danny's life forever. He did not know it yet, but his journey was just beginning. The coordinates glowed on the screen. The whisper. Whatever it was, they would find it. Danny smiled and petted Miko's soft fur. Here we go, girl. Let's see what Aunt Carol wanted us to find. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. The stars became long streaks of light. And Danny Wright, who had been nobody special just hours ago, flew toward his destiny with an alien cat purring in his lap. 3 days into the journey, Danny was starting to love life in space. The wandering star looked bad on the outside, but she flew beautifully. Once you learned her quirks, she was smooth and reliable. And having Miko made everything better. The little alien was amazing. She seemed to know when Danny was tired. She would chirp at him until he took a break. She alerted him when something was wrong with the ship before the alarms went off. At night, when space felt too big and empty, she would curl up on his chest and purr until he fell asleep. You are pretty amazing, Danny said, scratching her antennas. They were in the cockpit watching stars fly past. Miko chirped and pushed her head against his hand. She wanted more scratches. The navigation system showed they were getting close to the whisper. Danny still did not know what that meant. The star chart showed it was empty space far from any colonies. No trade routes. No reason for anyone to go there until now. As they got closer, Miko started acting strange. She paced back and forth on the console. Her fur changed from blue-purple to orange-red. Her antennas twitched constantly. She made urgent chirping sounds. What's wrong, girl? Danny checked the sensors. I'm not seeing anything bad, but Miko knew better. She pressed her paw on the sensor controls. Suddenly, the display filled with signals. Dozens of them. All weak distress calls. Ships, Danny said quietly. Dead ships. They had entered a graveyard. Ships of all sizes floated in the darkness. Some were ancient. Some looked new. None of them had power or life signs. It was creepy and scary. Danny felt cold inside. Aunt Carol, what did you send me into? He whispered. Miko chirped softly. She jumped down from the console and went to the navigation system. She pressed her paw on a button. The autopilot turned on. The wandering star started weaving through the field of dead ships. Miko was flying the ship now. You're driving? Danny was amazed. Okay, I trust you. They went deeper into the graveyard. At the center, they found something huge. It was the size of a small moon. It was made of black material that seemed to swallow light. The only light came from glowing lines that covered its surface in strange patterns. What is that? Danny asked. The ship's computer beeped. Text appeared on the screen. It was a message from the structure. Welcome, inheritor. You have been expected. Danny's hands gripped the armrest tight. Expected by who? Please dock at the coordinates provided. Time is limited. A docking port lit up on the structure. Miko chirped encouragingly. Danny took a deep breath. He flew the wandering star toward the port. The docking was smooth, too smooth. The structure was helping them. Danny grabbed his data pad and a plasma cutter just to be safe. Miko jumped onto his shoulder. She balanced perfectly there. Stay close, Danny told her. We don't know what's inside. The airlock opened. A corridor stretched ahead, well lit and clean. The air that came in was good to breathe. Danny stepped inside carefully, holding the plasma cutter ready. They walked for a long time. The corridor finally opened into a huge room. It was filled with technology that made Earth's best computers look like toys. Floating displays showed star maps, math problems, and languages Danny did not recognize. At the center was a pedestal. Above it floated a small crystal that pulsed with light. It looked alive. The archive, a voice said. Danny spun around. A hologram appeared in front of him. It looked human but too perfect to be real. Who are you? Danny demanded. I am the Keeper. I am the last guardian of the archive of the Forerunners. Your aunt, Carol Wright, discovered this place 30 years ago. She was the first human worthy of the knowledge here. Worthy? Danny lowered the plasma cutter a little. What does that mean? The Forerunners were an ancient race. They lived millions of years before humans. They created life across the galaxy. They helped evolution. They left behind knowledge for those who came after. But they also left tests. To access the archive, one must bond with Illuminae. One must prove themselves through actions, not just words. Miko chirped from Danny's shoulder. Her fur glowed bright. The Keeper smiled. Miko has chosen you as she chose Carol. The bond between a human and Illuminae is sacred. It proves empathy and compassion. It proves you can understand beings different from yourself. These are the qualities the Forerunners valued most. Danny looked at Miko. She looked back with her big glowing eyes. She chose me, why? Because you have a good heart, Danny Wright. In a galaxy full of people who want power or money or fame, you want connection. You mourned an aunt you barely knew. You accepted a ship you did not want. You were kind to Miko from the first moment. These actions show your character. The Keeper pointed at the crystal. The archive contains knowledge that could change humanity. Faster travel that does not need jump gates. Medical technology that could cure any sickness. Clean energy that could power your worlds forever. But it also contains weapons. Terrible weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Danny felt the weight of those words. Why give this to us? Why now? Because humanity is at a crossroads. You have spread to dozens of worlds. You have met dozens of alien species. You stand at the edge of becoming either a force for good in the galaxy or a source of destruction. The Forerunners believed all species deserved the chance to choose their path, but that choice should be informed. The hologram looked directly at Danny. Carol spent 30 years studying the archive. She learned what she could. She prepared humanity for this moment, but she knew she could not do it alone. She needed someone she could trust, someone who would use this knowledge wisely. She chose you. But I'm nobody, Danny said. I'm just a cargo pilot. I barely finished school. And yet Miko chose you. Do not underestimate the wisdom of the Illuminae. They see what others cannot. Miko rubbed her head against Danny's cheek. She purred softly. He reached up and petted her fur. He felt her warmth and comfort. In that moment, he understood. This was not about school or jobs. It was about trust. About the bond between two beings who found each other across the stars. What do I need to do? Danny asked. The Keeper reached toward the archive. Approach and accept the gift. The knowledge will transfer to your ship's computer. But be warned. Once you accept this, you cannot go back. You will carry the responsibility for how humanity uses this knowledge. Danny took a deep breath. He walked toward the pedestal. Miko's purring got louder. It sounded like encouragement and support. He reached out and touched the crystal. Light exploded around him. It was not painful, but it was overwhelming. Information poured into his mind. Too fast to understand, but somehow he could grasp it. He saw civilizations rise and fall. He saw stars being born and dying. He saw the universe in all its complexity, and through it all he felt the forerunners, those ancient beings who loved life and wanted to help those who came after them. When the light faded, Danny was on his knees, breathing hard. Miko was beside him. Her small paw rested on his hand. "It is done," the keeper said. "The archive is now stored in the Wandering Star. Use it well, Danny Wright. The future of your species may depend on it." The hologram started to fade. "One final gift from Carol. She left you a message in the archive. Listen to it when you are ready." Then the keeper was gone. Danny was alone with Miko in the huge room. "Okay," Danny said, his voice shaking. "Okay, we can do this," Miko chirped in agreement. Together they walked back through the corridor. The journey back seemed shorter. Soon they were sealed inside the Wandering Star's familiar cockpit. Danny sat in the pilot chair. He accessed the ship's computer. The amount of data stored there now was incredible. But he found Aunt Carol's message easily. Her hologram appeared. This time she looked peaceful. "Hello again, Danny. If you are seeing this, you accepted the archive and everything that comes with it. I am proud of you. I always knew you could do this. What you do with this knowledge is up to you, but I trust you to make the right choice. Take care of Miko. She will keep you on the right path. And remember, you are not alone. There are others out there, others who want to see humanity grow. Find them. Build something beautiful together. Love always, Aunt Carol." The message ended. Danny sat in silence. He felt the weight of what just happened. He had inherited more than a spaceship. He had inherited a legacy and a mission. "All right, Miko," he said, scratching her antennas. "Let's go home and figure out what to do next." Miko purred and settled into his lap. Danny undocked from the structure and started the journey back to human space. Behind them, the archive went dark. Its purpose was complete. Danny looked at the stars ahead. He had knowledge that could change everything. But what would he do with it? How could he make sure it helped people instead of hurting them? These were big questions. Scary questions. But he was not alone. He had Miko. And somewhere out there he would find others who could help. The Wandering Star flew through space carrying its precious cargo of knowledge and hope. Danny Wright was no longer just a cargo pilot. He was something more now. Something important. He just had to figure out what that meant. The 2-week journey back to Port Stevens gave Danny a lot of time to think. The archive was not just information. It was possibility. Possibility for amazing good, but also possibility for terrible harm. Every time he looked at the data, he felt both excited and scared. Miko seemed to understand his worry. She stayed close, often sitting in his lap while he read through technical plans and history files. Her presence calmed him down. Danny found himself talking to her like she understood every word. Maybe she did. Faster-than-light drives that don't need jump gates, Danny said out loud, looking at ship designs. That alone would change everything. No more bottlenecks. No more big fees from gate companies. People could go anywhere, Miko chirped. One of her antennas pointed at a different section of data. "What, this?" Danny followed where she pointed. He found medical technology, ways to heal paralysis, ways to cure cancer, ways to make humans live decades longer. This could save millions of lives. But then there were the weapons. Energy systems that could break a planet apart. Tiny machines that could take apart anything. Devices that could erase things from time itself. The Forerunners had been very thorough in their research. Not all of it was peaceful. "Who do I give this to?" Danny asked Miko. "The government. They would probably keep it secret and sell it to rich people. A company? Same problem, everyone. That could start wars." Miko stood up on his lap. She put both front paws on his chest and stared into his eyes. Her glowing gaze seemed to look into his soul. Danny felt something strange. Almost like a voice in his mind, but not quite. "Trust yourself. Trust the bond. Find others like you." Danny blinked. "Did you just talk to me?" "In my head?" Miko chirped innocently and jumped down to check her food bowl. "I'm going crazy," Danny said, but he could not shake the feeling that Miko had somehow communicated with him, and her message made sense. He needed allies. People he could trust who would use the archive's knowledge the right way. When they finally arrived at Port Stevens, Danny was surprised. A small crowd waited at the docking bay. Kyle Brennan was there, along with several people Danny did not know. They did not look threatening, but Danny felt nervous anyway. He left the ship carefully. Miko rode on his shoulder. Kyle walked over with his hands up, showing he meant peace. Easy, Danny. These people are friends. They knew your aunt. An older woman stepped forward. She had kind eyes and gray hair pulled back. Hello, Danny. My name is Linda Carter. I worked with Carol for many years. We have been waiting for you. How did you know I would come back? Danny asked, suspicious. Because Carol told us she was leaving everything to you, Linda said. And because Miko is with you. She would not accept anyone who was not worthy. Another person spoke up, a young man who looked nervous and held a tablet. I'm Alex Wong. I study alien life. I met your aunt at a conference 15 years ago. She changed my life. She told me that one day, someone would come with knowledge that could change everything we know. Is it true? Did you find it? Danny hesitated. These people seemed real and honest, but he had just met them. How could he trust them with something this important? Miko made the choice for him. She jumped from Danny's shoulder onto Linda's arm. She purred loudly and rubbed against her. Then she jumped to Alex and did the same thing before going back to Danny. Well, Danny said, I guess Miko trusts you. Come on. We need to talk somewhere private. They met in a small conference room near the docking bay. Danny brought his datapad with carefully chosen files from the archive. Nothing dangerous. Just the basics of what they had found. Linda looked at the data with wide eyes. This is incredible. Do you understand what this means? These ship engines alone could free humanity from company control of space travel. That's exactly why we need to be careful, Danny said. The wrong people get this and it becomes just another tool for control. Or worse. Alex looked up from his tablet. What do you mean, worse? Danny told them about the weapons in the archive. Not the actual plans, just what they could do. The room went quiet as everyone understood what that meant. We need a plan, Linda said finally. A way to share this knowledge that helps everyone, not just the powerful. What if we made an organization? Alex suggested. A group dedicated to keeping and sharing the archive's knowledge the right way. We could check people who want access. We could give the information in stages. We could keep watch over it. Who would pay for it? Danny asked. Who would run it? And how would we keep it from becoming corrupt over time? They talked for hours. They argued about possibilities and problems. Miko slept on the table between them. Sometimes she woke up to chirp at certain ideas like she was giving her opinion. Eventually, they came up with a plan. The organization would be spread out, with groups working independently but following the same rules. Knowledge would be shared gradually, starting with helpful things and working toward complex ones. Everything would be open source. That meant no single person or company could own it. We need more people, Linda said. Scientists, engineers, ethics experts, legal experts. People we can trust. Carol left notes about possible candidates, Danny said, pulling up another file. She spent years finding people who shared her values. There are names from dozens of worlds. Then we contact them, Alex said, carefully. We build a network. Danny felt the burden he carried become lighter. He was not alone in this. Aunt Carol knew he would need help. She had prepared for that. There's something else, Danny said. The archive is not just technology. It's history, philosophy, art. The forerunners left their entire culture. That might be just as valuable as the practical stuff. Linda nodded thoughtfully. Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. Maybe sharing their culture will help humanity make better choices about using their technology. Over the next few weeks, Danny's life changed completely. The Wandering Star became the headquarters of what they called the Forerunner Initiative. Linda handled organization and outreach. Alex managed scientific checking. And Danny, surprisingly, became the face of the operation. It helped that Miko was always with him. The little alien became like a mascot. Her obvious intelligence and charm made people comfortable. More importantly, her ability to sense people's intentions was invaluable. Anyone who made her antennas turn red was politely but firmly kept out of the initiative. They released their first technology to the public. It was a clean energy generator based on quantum fieldwork. It was simple enough that regular people could build it, but it was powerful enough to provide free electricity to thousands of people. The response was huge. Within days, builders across dozens of worlds had made generators and were sharing their results. Power companies tried to stop the information from spreading, but it was too late. The design was everywhere. There was no way to stop it now. We made an enemy of every energy company in human space, Alex said, watching the news. Good, Danny said. If they're angry, we're doing something right. But not everyone was happy. As the Forerunner initiative gained attention, threats started coming in. Company news articles questioned Danny's background. Governments investigated where the technology came from. And more direct threats came from those who felt threatened by the disruption. Through it all, Miko stayed by Danny's side. She seemed to grow more connected to him each day. Danny swore he could almost understand her chirps and body language as clearly as spoken words. One night, sitting in the cockpit of the Wandering Star, Danny petted Miko's colorful fur and spoke quietly. "I hope I'm doing right by you and Aunt Carol. This is all so much bigger than me." Miko purred and pressed her small head against his hand, and in his mind clear as day, Danny heard her voice. "You are doing perfectly. We chose well. Keep going," Danny smiled. Maybe he was going crazy, or maybe the bond with Illumini was even deeper than he imagined. Either way, he was not alone. He never would be. "All right, partner," he said. "Let's see what we can change next." The initiative was just beginning. They had released one technology. There were dozens more waiting in the archive. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, communication systems, all of it could help humanity grow and thrive. But they had to be careful. They had to be smart. One wrong move and the knowledge could be used for harm instead of help. Danny looked at Miko, who gazed back with trust and confidence. They would figure it out. Together, they had already done the impossible. They had found ancient alien knowledge and started sharing it with the galaxy. What came next would be even harder. Companies would fight them. Governments would try to control them. Bad people would try to steal the archive for themselves. But Danny was ready. He had Miko. He had Linda and Alex. He had a growing network of good people who wanted to make the galaxy better. The Wandering Star hummed softly around them. The ship that nobody wanted had become the most important vessel in human space. And the man who had been nobody special was now carrying the hopes of millions. Danny Wright was no longer just a cargo pilot. He was a guardian of knowledge, a protector of the future, and with Miko by his side, he would make sure that future was bright. 3 months after releasing the quantum field generator designs, the Forerunner initiative had grown beyond what Danny imagined. Hundreds of volunteers joined their cause. Groups formed on 17 different worlds. The second technology release, a water cleaning system, was already helping drought areas. But success brought problems and opposition. Danny sat in the Wandering Star's kitchen, reading security reports with Linda and Alex. Miko sat on the table between them. Her antennas twitched with worry. 3 attempts to hack our computers this week, Alex said. He looked tired and nervous. One was definitely from a company. The other 2 might have been from the government. The Senate Economic Committee wants Danny to testify, Linda added. They are calling it a fact-finding mission. But we all know it's meant to scare us, Danny rubbed his face. What do they want to know? Where the technology came from. Whether we broke any laws. How we're paying for this, Linda looked grim. They want to find a way to shut us down or take control. Can they? Danny asked, legally? It's complicated. We're not selling anything. We're just giving away information. But they will try to argue we're hurting markets and threatening jobs. Linda sighed. The usual arguments. Miko chirped sharply and jumped onto Danny's shoulder. Her fur changed to warning orange. Both antennas pointed at the docking bay entrance. Someone's coming, Danny said, trusting Miko's senses completely. Alex, check the security cameras. Alex pulled up the video on his tablet. 3 people coming. Company security badges. They're not hiding it. I'll handle this, Danny said, standing up. Linda, Alex, stay here with Miko. Record everything. Danny, wait, Linda started to say. But he was already moving. Danny met the 3 visitors at the airlock. 2 men and 1 woman. All wore expensive suits and carried themselves with the confidence of people used to getting their way. The woman stepped forward. She held out a hand that Danny did not shake. Mr. Wright, I'm Patricia Hammond, legal counsel for Nexus Energy Consolidated. These are my associates. We would like a moment of your time. I'm listening, Danny said, keeping his voice neutral. Our clients are very concerned about the technology you have been sharing, the quantum field generator specifically. You have cost them billions in projected income. I did not cost them anything. I gave people a choice. Hammond's smile was cold. Let's not play games. You released technology without permission. We believe it was obtained through illegal means. It was not obtained from you or any other company, Danny said. And since I'm giving it away for free, good luck proving damages. We do not need to prove damages in court, Mr. Wright. We can make your life very difficult in other ways. Docking permits revoked, trade licenses suspended, background checks that find concerning problems. She paused. Or we could make this very easy. Nexus is prepared to offer you money for exclusive rights to the archive. You walk away wealthy and we make sure the technology is distributed responsibly. You mean you bury it or charge huge fees for access? Danny said flatly. No deal. One of the men stepped forward. His expression was less polite than Hammond's. You're in over your head, right? You're nobody. A cargo pilot who got lucky. You don't have the resources to fight us. And you're making enemies of very powerful people. I have something better than resources, Danny said. I have the truth, and millions of people who benefit from it. Try to shut us down and I'll release everything. Every design, every formula, every piece of data from the archive. All at once. Let's see how much control you have when everyone has access to technology that makes your business obsolete. Hammond's smile disappeared. That would be extraordinarily reckless. Dangerous technology in untrained hands could cause harm. Is still less dangerous than that same technology controlled by people who only care about profit. Danny crossed his arms. This conversation is over. Get off my ship. The three exchanged glances. For a moment, Danny thought they might try something physical, but Miko appeared in the doorway behind him. Her antennas glowed bright red. Her fur stood on end. She hissed, a sound that should not have been scary coming from such a small creature. But somehow it was. The visitors backed away. Hammond's expression showed she was seeing something that did not make sense. This is not over, Mr. Wright. I did not think it would be. After they left, Danny returned to the kitchen where Linda and Alex were waiting. Alex looked worried. Linda looked thoughtful. Miko immediately jumped back onto Danny's shoulder, purring to calm him down. That was either very brave or very stupid, Linda said. Probably both, Danny admitted. But I meant what I said. If they try to shut us down, we release everything. Complete information dump. That's the nuclear option, Alex said. We would lose all control over how the technology gets used. We don't have control anyway, Danny said. That's the whole point. The Forerunners did not leave this knowledge for it to be hoarded. They left it for everyone. Over the next week, the pressure got worse. News articles appeared questioning Danny's background and the initiative's legitimacy. Several volunteers reported being contacted by company investigators. 2 of their distribution groups were raided by local police on weak reasons. But something else was happening too. Stories began coming from colony worlds about how the technologies were changing lives. Communities that struggled with power shortages now had reliable electricity. Remote settlements with bad water now had clean drinking water. People were building and improving and sharing. The initiative's message boards filled with thank you notes. Independent journalists started investigating the company campaign against them. Public opinion began to shift. Danny was in the cockpit looking at manufacturing data for the next technology release, when Miko suddenly jumped onto the console and started making urgent sounds. Her antennas flashed in a pattern Danny had never seen before. What is it, girl? Miko pressed her paw on the communication system. An incoming message alert appeared. It was encrypted, but the ship's computer decoded it easily. The message was from someone calling themselves Horizon Collective. Danny opened it carefully. Mr. Wright, we represent a group of independent worlds and progressive organizations that support your work. We have been watching your situation. We believe you are in immediate danger. Nexus Energy has hired a mercenary team to seize your ship and the archive. They are planning to move within the next 2 days. We have resources and safe places if you need to relocate. Please respond if you're willing to discuss cooperation. Danny's blood felt cold. Linda, Alex, get in here! They crowded into the cockpit. Danny showed them the message. Linda went pale. If this is real, we need to move. Now. How do we know it's not a trap? Alex asked. Miko chirped. Her antennas glowed a soft, steady blue. The color of trust. Miko thinks they're real, Danny said. That's good enough for me. Linda, send a response. Tell them we're interested. Alex, start backing up everything we can't afford to lose. We're leaving Port Stevens. The next 2 days we're crazy busy. The Horizon Collective proved to be exactly what they claimed. A loose group of reform politicians, progressive business leaders, and independent world representatives who saw the initiative's work as vital to breaking company control of technology. They provided safe harbor. at a small station called Havens Point. It was located in neutral territory, not controlled by any major government or company. Danny flew the Wandering Star there with Miko constantly by his side. Her senses stayed alert for any sign of pursuit. Havens Point was nothing like the company-controlled stations Danny knew. It was rough around the edges, but full of life. Independent traders, researchers, and people who valued freedom filled the place. The Horizon Collective had arranged for secure facilities where the initiative could work without fear. As Danny docked and shut down the Wandering Star, he felt both exhausted and energized. They had escaped the immediate threat. But the fight was far from over. "You did well," Linda said, joining him in the cockpit. "Carol would be proud." Danny looked at Miko, who was cleaning her colorful fur. "I could not have done it without her. She always knows when something's wrong before I do." "The bond between a human and a Lumini is supposed to be incredibly rare," Linda said. "You're lucky to have found each other." "I think it's more than luck," Danny said, scratching behind Miko's antennas. "I think Aunt Carol planned this whole thing. She knew exactly what would happen, and she put all the pieces in place. Then let's not waste her efforts. The Horizon Collective has offered to help coordinate our next releases. With their protection and distribution network, we could reach twice as many people." Danny nodded. The fight against company control of technology was just beginning. But he was not alone. He had allies. He had purpose. And he had Miko. "All right," he said. "Let's change the galaxy." Havens Point would be their new home. From here, they would continue sharing the archive's knowledge. They would help people. They would fight against those who wanted to keep technology locked away. It would not be easy. Companies would keep trying to stop them. Governments would keep investigating them. Bad people would keep looking for ways to steal the archive. But Danny Wright was ready. He had started this journey as nobody special. Just a cargo pilot who inherited a broken-down ship. Now he was something more. A guardian of ancient knowledge. 6 months after moving to Havens Point, the Forerunner Initiative had become a real movement. The Horizon Collective's support allowed them to expand beyond Danny's wildest dreams. They had working groups on 47 worlds. Thousands of volunteers. Enough public support that even companies thought twice before moving against them openly. The technologies they released had changed daily life for millions. Clean energy, water cleaning, advanced medicine, and better farming methods had lifted dozens of struggling colonies out of poverty. But they had been careful. They only released technologies that would help, not hurt. The weapons and more dangerous things stayed locked away. Only Danny could access them, through Miko's security check. Danny stood on the observation deck of Havens Point, looking out at the stars. Miko was curled around his neck like a living scarf. Her weight was comforting and familiar. Her soft purring helped him think. "Big day tomorrow," he said quietly. "We're releasing the medical healing technology. Alex says it's ready." Linda confirmed the distribution network. "But I'm still nervous. This is the most complex thing we've shared yet," Miko chirped softly. Danny felt her thoughts touch his mind. It will help many. That is what matters. Their bond had grown much deeper over the months. Danny could now understand Miko's communications clearly, though he still could not start the telepathic contact himself. She was teacher, companion, and partner. Danny could not imagine facing any of this without her. A message alert beeped on his data pad. It was from Linda, asking him to come to the conference room. Something in her tone suggested it was urgent. Danny walked through Havens Point's corridors. People nodded to him as he passed. He had become somewhat famous, though he tried to avoid attention when possible. The message was more important than the messenger. Linda was waiting with Alex and 3 people Danny did not know. 2 looked military based on how they stood. The third was an older man in regular clothes who studied Danny with sharp, smart eyes. "Danny, this is Commander Kate Morris, Lieutenant James Park, and Dr. Henry Sullivan," Linda said. "They represent the Colonial Defense Initiative. It's one of the few military groups not controlled by companies." Commander Morris stepped forward. "Mr. Wright, we have been following your work with great interest. The technologies you released have made big positive impacts on quality of life across human space." "Thank you," Danny said carefully, "though I sense there's a problem coming." "Not a problem, more of a concern," Dr. Sullivan said. "We have intelligence suggesting that non-human beings have noticed your activities, specifically a species called the Zorathians. Danny felt Miko tense against his neck. Who are the Zorathians? An aggressive species from the Galactic West, Lieutenant Park explained. They have been testing human space for years looking for weaknesses. We have managed to keep them away, but it's a delicate situation. What do they want with us? Danny asked. Commander Morris pulled up a holographic display showing ship movements and intercepted communications. They know about the archive. They have been monitoring human transmissions. They figured out that you have access to Forerunner technology. They want it for themselves. Danny's stomach dropped. How much danger are we in? Right now, not much. They will not risk open war with humanity. Not yet. Dr. Sullivan adjusted his glasses, but they are working on plans to either sneak into your organization or simply take you by force when they get a chance. That's not going to happen, Danny said firmly. The archive is meant for everyone, but I will not let it be used for conquest, which is why we're here, Commander Morris said. We want to help protect you and the initiative. In exchange, we would like access to some of the archive's defensive technologies. Nothing offensive, but shields, detection systems, things that would help us keep human space secure. Danny looked at Miko. Her antennas were a calm blue-green, suggesting she sensed no lies from their visitors. I need to discuss this with my team. Of course, Commander Morris said. But time is important. Our intelligence suggests the Zorathians are planning something within the next few months. After they left, Danny gathered Linda and Alex to discuss the offer. The conversation was intense and went late into the night. We knew this was a risk, Linda said. Advanced technology always attracts attention. Not all of it friendly. But if we start giving weapons to military forces, even defensive ones, are we not breaking our own rules? Alex argued. We said we would release technology for peaceful purposes. Defensive shields are not weapons, Danny said. And if the Zorathians are a real threat, we cannot just ignore it. The archive was meant to help humanity survive and grow. That includes protecting ourselves. They argued for hours, looking at every angle. Finally, they reached an agreement. They would work with the Colonial Defense Initiative, but with strict rules. Any technology shared would be purely defensive. The designs would be open source, so no single military could control them. And an ethics board would oversee all uses. The next morning, Danny told Commander Morris their terms. She agreed without hesitation. That suggested the threat was even more serious than she admitted. Work began immediately. Danny pulled defensive technologies from the archive. Systems the Forerunners developed to protect themselves from hostile species. Energy shields that could stop particle weapons. Sensors that could detect stealth ships. Point defense systems that could intercept missiles. Alex worked with the Colonial Defense Initiative's engineers. Linda managed the careful release of the medical healing technology to the public. Danny split his time between both efforts. Miko was always by his side. The little alien had become something of a secret weapon herself. Her ability to sense intentions and detect threats proved invaluable during security checks. Anyone with bad intent found themselves politely but firmly kept out, often before they even realized they had been caught. 3 months into their work with the Colonial Defense Initiative, the Zorathian threat became real. A small fleet of their ships entered the outer edges of human space. They were moving toward Haven's Point with obvious hostile intent. Danny was in the Wandering Star's cockpit when the alert came. Miko immediately became upset. Her fur shifted through alarming shades of red and orange. I know, girl, Danny said. His hands already moved across the controls. We prepared for this. Haven's Point had been quietly upgraded with archive technology over the past months. The station's shields were now generations beyond anything humanity previously had. Its sensors could track ships light years away. Commander Morris's face appeared on the communication screen. Mr. Wright, we have 6 Zorathian cruisers coming. They will be in weapons range in 2 hours. We need to get you and the core initiative staff out. No, Danny said. We stand and fight. This is what we built those defenses for. Danny, you're not military. You're too valuable to risk in combat. I'm not leaving, Danny said firmly. These people came to Haven's Point because of me. I'm not abandoning them. Besides, Miko and I might be useful. She can sense things your sensors cannot. There was a pause. Then Morris nodded reluctantly. All right. But stay in your ship and be ready to jump out if things go wrong. The next 2 hours were tense. Danny watched through the sensors as the Zorathian fleet approached. Their ships were massive and covered with weapons. The Colonial Defense Initiative had positioned a small defensive force around Havens Point, but they were outnumbered 3-1. Miko sat on the console. Her antennas tracked the enemy ships with incredible accuracy. Danny had linked her sensory input to the Wandering Star's computers. It created a hybrid detection system that combined technology and Lumini instinct. "They're preparing to fire," Danny said, reading Miko's signals. "Targeting the station's power grid." The warning went out. Havens Point's shields reinforced in the critical areas just before the Zorathian weapons hit. The station shook but held. "Return fire," Commander Morris ordered. The Colonial defense ships engaged. Their new archive-enhanced weapons proved devastatingly effective. Zorathian shields, designed to stop normal human weapons, could not handle the directed energy beams based on Forerunner principles. But the Zorathians adapted quickly. They shifted formation, focusing their fire on individual defense ships. The battle became a deadly dance. Ships darted and weaved. Weapons fire painted the darkness with brilliant colors. Danny watched helplessly until Miko suddenly jumped to her feet and started making urgent sounds. Her antennas pointed to a section of space that looked empty. "There's something there," Danny said, trusting Miko's instincts. "They have a stealth ship positioning for an attack." He broadcast the warning. The defense forces adjusted. Moments later, their sensors finally detected what Miko had sensed minutes earlier. A Zorathian stealth ship moving into position to strike Havens Point directly. The Colonial defense ships engaged it immediately. The stealth systems failed under heavy fire. It tried to retreat, but the archive-enhanced weapons were too accurate. The ship exploded in a brief, brilliant flash. The remaining Zorathian ships, realizing they could not win, retreated. The battle had lasted less than an hour, but it had changed everything. Commander Morris contacted Danny directly. "That warning saved us. How did you detect their stealth ship?" "Miko," Danny said simply, scratching behind the alien's antennas.